12 miles from the nearest person, he found a handprint that hadn't been there an hour ago.
That print is still loose with ash. Someone's hand, or something's, was here minutes ago.
He called out a tentative hello, but the forest swallowed the word without echo.
No tracks. No signs of a camp. Nothing. Just this print.
He crouched, checking the ash for footprints, but there was nothing, not even his own, from earlier, already erased by the wind. He raised his camera and took 3 photographs, the shutter sounding like small cracks in the silence.
Evidence. If I call this in, I need proof.
He lifted his radio and keyed the mic. Static hissed back. Dead zone. He turned away from the tree, forcing himself back to the patrol route. Behind him, the handprint remained, a fresh mark in a world of ash, 12 miles from anywhere.
Still nothing on the radio. The terrain must be blocking the signal. Could be a poacher. Someone off-grid who doesn't want to be found.
But poachers leave tracks, camps, shell casings. The ash around that tree was untouched except for the print.
A hiker then, lost. Maybe pressed a hand against the tree to steady themselves.
The nearest trailhead was 15 miles east. No hiker would wander this deep into a dead zone.
Stop it. I am spooking myself over a palm print. Focus on the job.
He forced his eyes to the ground, scanning for hotspots. A smoldering root here, a heat shimmer there, but every blackened trunk became a possible canvas for another impossible mark.
I need to check. Just a quick loop off route to see if there's anything, any sign of who made it.
He turned off the patrol line, eyes searching the ash for a print, a track, a reason. He continued scanning, and then his headlamp caught another mark, a second handprint, 3 miles from the first.
It's not possible. The hand is identical. Same splay, same depth, same fresh ash.
He pulled out his camera and compared the photos. The prints matched exactly.
That means it's intentional. A trail. Someone or something left these for me to follow, to find.
He tried the radio again, this time catching a signal. Ed's voice crackled through.
Ed, it's Calder. I am in the burn, section 14. I found another handprint, same as the first.
Ed's response came after a long pause, his tone clipped and wary, as if he'd been expecting this call.
Mark, are you certain? Do not follow any trail. Mark your coordinates and proceed to your truck.
That wasn't a suggestion. That was a warning. Ed knows something about this.
But the prints pointed east, deeper into the scar. Against every instinct, Mark turned to follow them. A mile further, his headlamp revealed a third handprint, identical in size and depth.
Same hand, same force. This path was laid out for me.
He compared the photos. Every crease and whorl of the palm was identical to the previous prints, 3 prints, all pointing east. They formed a deliberate line, heading deeper into the burn, the forest thickened, blackened limbs tangling overhead. The silence turned absolute.
No wind, no animals. Even the ash under my boots sounds muted. This silence is wrong.
Then, cutting through the dead air, a smell, stale cigarette smoke, faint but unmistakable.
Cigarettes out here. The fire would have burned that away. Someone was here recently, close enough that the smoke still hangs in the air.
He didn't reach for his radio. Instead, he followed the scent of stale smoke deeper into the dead forest. The cigarette smell had faded, but the handprints continued with awful regularity. He finally lifted his radio.
Ed, it's Calder. 3 prints now, all identical, leading east. I also smelled cigarette smoke.
Ed's reply came after a longer pause, his voice tight with something Mark hadn't heard before, fear.
Mark, you stop right there. Mark your coordinates and return to your truck immediately. Do not follow further. Confirm.
Mark stared at the radio. The order was explicit, bypassing it would go on his record. But the prints were pulling him.
He knows something. Once I am out, I'll never get answers. This trail ends somewhere close.
He pressed the button and spoke with a calm that felt like a lie.
Copy that, Ed. Heading back now.
He slipped the radio onto his belt and kept walking east, following the line of handprints.
Just a little further, until I find what left these prints. Then I'll call in.
His headlamp swept the trunks as he walked. Over the next 30 minutes, the handprints appeared closer and closer.
The prints are only 50 yards apart now. Someone or something is pacing my steps.
The burn scar had fallen into a deeper silence. No insect hum, no bird call, only the crunch of his own boots.
This place is dead. Deader than any burn I've patrolled before.
The prints grew fresher, the ash still sliding down the bark, as if the hand had pulled away moments ago.
I am almost on top of it. Whatever left these prints is just ahead.
His headlamp beam caught a reflection, a small metallic glint in the darkness ahead.
Something's out there. Not a print, an object.
He slowed, one hand on his radio, the other tightening around his flashlight. The reflection held steady, low to the ground, as if something had been placed there deliberately. Waiting, he stepped into a small, circular clearing. The blackened trees pulled back, and the handprints stopped.
A water bottle. Forest Service issue. Right in the middle.
It stood upright on undisturbed ash, an outdated green metal bottle with a faded Forest Service logo.
That logo hasn't been used in decades.
He picked it up, the cold metal biting his palm. The weight was wrong. It was full. He turned the bottle, and his headlamp caught the peeling label. Model discontinued in 1987.
This bottle is nearly 40 years old, sitting in a recent burn, full of water, untouched.
His mind scrambled for logic, but there was none. The handprints, the smoke, the bottle, they all pointed to something impossible.
Someone or something wanted me to find this, wanted me here.
He stood motionless, the clearing silent around him, holding the impossible bottle as if it might vanish. He unscrewed the cap. The water inside was cold and clear, as if drawn from a mountain stream that morning.
Sealed like new. Not a speck of ash inside. This bottle hasn't been in a fire.
His hands trembled as he recapped it. He needed to hear a human voice.
Ed, it's Calder. I am at a clearing. I found a water bottle. Forest Service, model from 1987. It's full.
The radio hissed with dead air. Ed didn't respond. Mark repeated his coordinates, voice rising. When Ed spoke, his voice was hollow, stripped of its usual authority.
Mark, listen carefully. Do not touch anything else. Leave the bottle where you found it. Walk straight back to your truck. Do not stop. Confirm you understand.
The word felt like a lie. I was walking away from answers.
He pressed the transmit button and turned toward the dark tree line. He set the bottle upright in the center of the clearing and turned away. The clearing fell behind him, and the clawing silence closed in like a fist. He was 15 yards beyond the clearing when a sound snapped the silence, a faint crack, like a boot heel grinding into ash. He spun, flashlight cutting the darkness, but the trail behind him was empty.
Something is behind me. Something is right behind me.
The silence returned, heavier than before, but now he could feel eyes on his back. He told himself it was a settling branch, but in a burn this dead, nothing settled anymore. He moved quicker, his headlamp jittering across the charred trunks, searching for movement.
Don't run. Running will make it real. But I need to move faster.
He broke into a jog, leaving the clearing and the bottle behind, but the feeling of being followed did not leave him. His headlamp swept a tree, and the handprint faced him, its fingers pointing back toward the clearing.
The trail had reversed. It was leading out now, but it was also watching me.
He checked the next tree. The print was oriented the same way, west, tracking his exit. He ran, but the feeling of being followed was no longer paranoia, it was certainty. His truck appeared through the trees, a solid shape in the fading light.
Get inside, lock the doors, and don't look back.
He dropped the keys, scooped them from the ash, and finally got the door open. Inside, he hit the locks and sat shaking, headlamp still glaring against the windshield. He checked the rearview mirror. The road was empty, but the trees appeared closer than before. He turned the key and didn't look back. But in his mind, the reversed handprints were still there. The drive was 19 miles of gravel and darkness, the headlights cutting a narrow tunnel through the trees.
He knew exactly where that clearing was. The coordinates, the bottle, the handprints, they were all waiting for him back there.
He replayed Ed's voice on the radio, hollow, stripped of authority. The silence after his own transmission had been answer enough. At the ranger station, Ed sat in the quiet office, a single lamp burning. He had retrieved a thick folder from the locked cabinet, the edges worn with years. He set it on the desk, a coffee mug beside it, and waited. He had done this before. Mark's truck pulled into the parking lot, headlights sweeping the Forest Service sign. He killed the engine and sat for a long moment, staring at the lit window.
Whatever's in there, it's been waiting for me to find. Maybe longer than I've been alive.
He pushed through the screen door, still in his ash-streaked uniform, and saw Ed behind the desk, an old folder between them.
Close the door, Mark.
Mark sat, his eyes fixed on the folder. The silence in the station was as heavy as the silence in the burn.
Coffee. It won't answer your questions, but it might steady your hands. You are shaking.
I am not shaking. I am angry. What's in the folder, Ed?
That burn has a history, a long one. I hoped you'd never stumble into it.
What history? I saw handprints that shouldn't exist. And a bottle from 1987. Tell me.
What you are about to see. There's no rational explanation. None. Understand that.
I am past needing rational. I followed those prints. I heard something behind me. Just show me.
Ed opened the folder with the care of a man handling something fragile and dangerous. A faded photograph lay face down on top.
This file has been sealed since 1987. I've opened it twice. Once for a ranger who quit the service the next day. Once for a ranger who didn't come back.
He's not exaggerating. Whatever is in there, it's already taken something from me.
Ed turned the photograph over. A young ranger smiled up from the desk, his uniform crisp, the colors still vivid.
That's Joshua Keller. He disappeared in that same burn, summer of '87.
The photograph showed a hand resting on a hip, the same hand that had pressed into the carbonized bark.
It was his water bottle. I found it in the clearing, full, like he just set it down.
They found only the bottle after he vanished. No tracks, no body. Just the bottle in the center of the clearing.
He left me the same trail. Handprints leading to his last marker.
Every major burn, the handprints appear. Always leading to that clearing. Always fresh.
Mark's lungs emptied. The handprints weren't a warning. They were a cycle, a loop that had been turning for decades.
He's still out there.
Number. But something is. And it led you there. After every major burn in that section, the handprints appear. Fresh. Identical. Always leading to that clearing.
How many rangers have seen this?
Several. None stayed long. One didn't leave those woods at all.
Mark pulled the incident report closer. The pages listed dates and initials stretching back before he was born.
We keep it quiet. Hushed up. No one wants a ghost story on official record.
They've been managing this like a chronic illness, keeping it contained.
Every few years a fire sweeps through, and the prints return. It's a cycle that can't be explained.
It's not a ghost. It's a pattern. A mark that the forest repeats.
Ed closed the folder with a finality that pressed the air from the room. The worn cardboard met with a soft thud.
Now you know. Whether you stay or go, that place will be in you.
This is my forest. I trained here. But now every pine will hide a handprint. Every shadow a shape that shouldn't be there. If I stay, I'll be the next name in that folder. The one who didn't come back.
Ed waited. He'd seen this before. The moment a ranger realizes the forest isn't just a job, it's a danger.
I've transfer papers ready. Say the word, and you'll be gone within the week.
Has anyone ever solved it? Made it stop?
Number. Those who tried came back changed. If they came back at all, The forest doesn't answer questions.
The silence between them was thick as smoke. Mark's hands trembled against his thighs.
I am not a coward. This is self-preservation. Start the paperwork. I am done.
He stood, the chair scraping the floor, and walked toward the door. The file remained open on the desk. Joshua's smile frozen under the lamp. 1 week later, Mark's Forest Service truck rolled down the gravel road, leaving the Bitterroot station behind for good. Ed hadn't said goodbye. He just nodded from the station window, already reaching for the next file.
I followed the prints, found the bottle, reported it. That's all protocol required.
But protocol didn't cover what he was leaving behind, the burn scar still smoldering on the ridges.
The handprints are out there right now, fresh, waiting for the next ranger.
He didn't look at the passenger seat. He knew the ghost of a handprint was there.
Joshua Keller walked these roads 30 years ago. Now he walks the burn, marking the trees.
The sun set, and the truck's headlights carved a tunnel through the growing dark.
I am not going back, but I'll never stop seeing that clearing when I close my eyes.
He crossed the forest boundary, and the pines behind him fell into silence. Months later, the new forest was a balm of green, living pines that had never burned. Mark's days were filled with routine patrols under a new supervisor who didn't know his file.
A healthy forest should feel like home, but my eyes keep finding the charred stumps.
Whenever he passed a burned clearing, his spine stiffened. He'd search the tree trunks for marks that weren't there.
No handprints. Of course not. The curse was in Bitterroot, not here.
At night, though, he couldn't stop checking the old district's incident reports online. He scrolled through months of entries, fire summaries, weather logs, patrol notes. Nothing about handprints.
They're hiding it. Same as always. The records are clean because the truth is locked in Ed's filing cabinet.
He closed the browser, heart thudding, and told himself it was better this way. But the silence of his new office was as heavy as the silence in the burn. One evening, his phone lit up with a news alert. A wildfire had ignited in Bitterroot in the same burn section.
Not again. Not there.
He tapped the article. The photo showed charred tree silhouettes against an orange sky, and a thumbnail that made his stomach drop, a faint handprint.
The public won't see it. They'll just think it's bark. But I know what's coming.
He read the coordinates, the same drainage, the same clearing. The fire would burn through, and then the prints would appear.
Within a month, some ranger will be out there, finding fresh handprints pressed into the carbonized bark.
He could almost see it, the line of prints leading east, the bottle standing in the center of the clearing, untouched.
I could warn them. I have the file number, Ed's direct line, but they just seal it again, like they always do.
He placed the phone face down and watched the evening light die over the healthy pines.
The cycle won't break. It'll keep repeating after I am gone, and I'll always be the one who ran.
Mark walked the trail home as sunset filtered through the healthy pines, casting long amber beams. The air was clean, damp with living earth, so different from the ash-choked silence he'd fled. Then a breeze stirred and carried with it a faint, unmistakable trace of stale cigarette smoke.
That stale smell didn't belong here. It couldn't.
He stood rigid, listening. No footsteps, no crackle, only the weight of the silence. He turned slowly, scanning the trees. No one, but the odor clung, unwelcome and impossible.
It's just your brain playing tricks. A stress response. Keep walking.
He forced his legs forward, walking faster now, the odor trailing him like an unseen presence.
The curse from Bitterroot. It wasn't bound to that burn. It followed me here.
He made it to his truck, hands shaking as he locked the doors, and drove away without looking back. A month later, fresh handprints appeared in the new Bitterroot burn. Same splay, same depth, same impossible orientation. A young ranger stepped back from the tree, voice cracking as he keyed his radio. In the station, Ed heard the transmission. A man describing handprints leading east, same as before.
Slow down. Mark your coordinates. Do not touch anything.
The ranger's voice was pure nerves. He'd seen 3 prints, fresh ash, and a scent he couldn't name.
Don't follow them. Turn around and walk back to your vehicle. Confirm.
The confirmation came, shaky and small. Ed set the radio down and rubbed his eyes.
It never stops. Every burn, the same call.
He walked to the locked cabinet and pulled out the worn folder marked Keller, J. 1987. He set it on the desk, ready for a new name, a new handprint to file. In a small rental outside the New Forest, Mark hung his uniform on the back of the door. The fabric was still clean, unused to smoke. Every night he touched the patches, a ritual that reminded him of where he'd been without returning. On his nightstand, a tiny, jagged piece of charcoal sat in a small dish, a shard from the bitterroot burn.
It's just a piece of dead wood, but it holds the shape of that handprint in my mind.
He picked it up for the last time that night, feeling its weightless grit, then placed it in the top drawer. The drawer slid shut with a soft click, sealing the shard in darkness.
I am not free, but I am learning to put it away.
He reached for the lamp switch and turned it off, the faint outline of his own hand lingering in the afterglow. In the new silence of his room, he could still hear the echo of that crack, the boot heel on ash, but it was farther now, and the charcoal stayed in the drawer, waiting like a handprint sealed in bark. In the bitterroot burn scar, twilight settled over the clearing like a held breath. The water bottle stood in the center, upright on undisturbed ash, exactly where Mark had placed it. Dew beaded on the old metal, the faded logo catching the first starlight. Each blackened trunk around the clearing bore a handprint. Fingers splayed, pressed hours ago, the prints formed a perfect ring, each one facing inward, watching the bottle. No wind stirred. No insect hummed. The only sound was a profound, listening silence. The camera pulled back, the clearing shrinking to a tiny circle of ash in a vast dead forest. No one was there to hear the silence, but the handprints remained, fresh and waiting. The cycle would repeat with the next fire and the next ranger forever. And the bottle stood in the center, unchanged, waiting for the next hand to find